Hello and welcome to A Lady Well Traveled. I'm your host and creator, Shannon Bednarova, and I'm so delighted that you've joined us today. For those of you who've never tuned into this podcast, we're all about transforming your travel experience into something much more enjoyable and stress free. So today, I am so excited to introduce my guest, and her name is Liz Norment. Liz hails from Richmond, Virginia. She went to Virginia Tech and studied fashion there. Then she moved to the Big Apple, New York City, and she worked for a wedding dress designer, and obviously learned a great deal there. But she decided, because she's an entrepreneur and she's a really fabulous lady, that she wanted a more meaningful relationship with brides and couples. And so she's taken all of her wonderful acumen and put it together into her own business to brides and couples who are getting married, called Have Lover Will Travel. Isn't that amazing name? So I want to welcome you to our show. I'm so excited for you to be here today. What have I left out of that description that you want our audience to know?
I think that you definitely covered the foundation. I've been in New York now for 16 years, which
Yeah,
is
a long
crazy.
time. Yeah.
I think that the concept of place is very important. And no matter how long I stay here, I will always be a Virginian. And
Yes.
people are always like, oh, you spend 10 years in New York, you're a New Yorker. I love it here. I will
Right.
always be a Virginian. So,
I got it.
yeah.
And I think that's a wonderful thing. For those of you who are listening, when Liz and I met to talk about the podcast, we were just kind of reminiscing about all things Virginian. And today, Virginia is suffering from a lot of bad weather. And anybody who knows Virginia knows if you hang around for very long, the weather will change hour by
Yeah.
hour sometimes. Liz and I just hit it off, and I'm so excited that she's here today because we're just going to have a great time. Goodness gracious, travel is so important to people who are getting married because obviously destination weddings are huge now. Everybody's looking for the perfect venue for their wedding. They all want to go to that dream honeymoon destination. We're going to dive into some neat stuff when we talk today. I love the name of your business, Have Lover Will Travel. And I just think that's such an absolutely sensuous name, and it immediately conjures up all kinds of exotic visions for me. Is that what you were hoping for when you chose that name, Liz?
Yeah, it absolutely was. Whenever I got the idea for the business, so I was still working in fashion for the wedding dress designer, and I felt so confident about the idea, and I knew I just needed a name.
Right.
And it was a couple of weeks that I was just scratching notes, writing like every word that came to mind, all these different concepts, and then it finally hit me in a meeting that I was supposed to be paying attention in. Um, and and I just kind of put it together, and I love the concept of really feeling like the world is made for lovers to explore hand in hand, right? And to have that moment where you are holding hands with your partner and experiencing awe in a destination is one of the most beautiful things that you can share because it's this wordless wonder that you get to
Mhm.
experience. So I really just wanted to kind of capture that in the title and also to recognize that again, walking down the aisle, there are steps in your journey, but there are so many more steps beyond that as well.
For our listeners, because you've told me the story and I think it's wonderful, tell us how you became inspired to start your business and to give us a little bit of a brief overview of your journey to get there.
Sure. So, like I said, I was working in the wedding industry.
Okay.
In addition to doing marketing for the wedding
Mhm.
dress designer, I was also on the weekends working as an assistant wedding planner.
Okay.
I love the industry. So I was
Yeah.
trying to learn as much as I could. And I really realized that ceremonies in particular were overlooked.
Mhm.
If there was a real story that was meaningful and inspirational as part of the wedding, I truly believe that that can make a difference for everything else that happens. It truly sets the tone for the event, and I've always been a writer, so
Mhm.
I was, like, using those skills to market to brides and to communicate to brides. I also really recognize that, again, the idea that it is the most important day of your life is
Mhm.
really kind of like shoved down brides' throats, which is fine. It definitely sells wedding dresses, but
Sure.
I really believed in a little bit more of an empowering message. So my thought was to work with couples, really understand their connection, amplify that in the ceremony, and then make sure that they feel confident and excited to go expand that story and add pages to that story throughout the world. So it just for me it was a recognition that I could use my talent to provide a little bit
Mhm.
more meaning in the wedding industry, um, and then ideally just help people explore and have the confidence to do so.
I love
Yeah,
that. And I think you're right. Weddings have become such a big industry that they've kind of lost their meaning. They've kind of become formulaic. It's become almost like a Broadway production versus
absolutely.
a personal journey for yourself and your fiance, and something that should be so intimate and personal. I really love what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it is wild the amount of money that is spent
Gosh.
on trends that allow a little bit more meaning to be added in there is something that means a lot to me.
Absolutely, and I think it's a wonderful thing. When trying to get more of a feel for what you're doing, when we met to discuss planning our podcast, I
Mhm.
asked if you were an officiant or a minister who could perform wedding ceremonies. Will you elucidate on that for our audience today?
Sure. So I'm ordained for through the Universal Life Church,
Okay.
so which is non-denominational.
Mhm.
But I do religious ceremonies. I do a lot of different, like, combining of cultures, as we kind of mentioned,
Okay.
whereas I'm not, you know, not a priest, certainly,
Well,
or a rabbi, for example. There are certain things, certain restrictions there, but I love incorporating any sort of religious or cultural aspects into my ceremony, and then, obviously, I am also legally allowed to
mhm.
sign the marriage license and do that
Yeah.
aspect of it.
Okay, cool. I was, of course, reading your website, which is beautiful, by the
Thank
way. And
you.
I want to encourage everybody to go to this website after the podcast, obviously, and check it out. It just looks like you do so many things. Made a list of what I thought you did. You can correct me because I'm going to go through this list of all your services, and then you can say, no, I really don't do that. So, travel planner for wedding, honeymoon, and beyond,
Mhm.
and it almost looks like you're a fashion consultant for wedding dress attendants and trousseau, but maybe that's, not true. Maybe you just because of your fashion background, I thought that's probably what she does, but maybe she doesn't necessarily say, "Oh, Shannon, I'm going to help you pick out your dress," but that's ugly. I don't know, but you could tell us that later. Then obviously being officiant and minister, then wedding counselor and couples therapist, because we talked a little bit about that, and I'm gonna
Sure.
let you go into more detail, and life coach. So is that kind of putting it together in a nutshell, or is that wrong?
So, for the most part,
Okay.
you're right on the money.
Okay.
In terms of like a wedding dress or fashion, kind of consultant, I don't exactly do that. However,
Okay.
I am a champion bustler. I can
Okay.
bustle any wedding
You can
dress,
bustle.
master bustler.
Okay.
And in terms of the therapist slash life coach, what I will say is that I have a lot of clients that have told me that my process feels like a relationship wellness experience. I
Mhm.
do a lot of research on relationship wellness because I find it absolutely fascinating. So that is incorporated into my approach.
Okay.
If couples are working with me, they usually are not getting married in the church, meaning that they don't have that often required religious kind of
Mhm.
counseling
Mhm.
before the wedding. Through the process of allowing them time to pause and really talk about and work through and remember why they admire each other, why they're connected, thinking about, how their partner has added to their own personal growth. All these different elements that just leading up to the wedding, let them
Mhm.
think through and talk through with somebody who is certainly well researched on that
Okay.
is definitely part of what I do.
Okay. Well, do
Yeah.
you get into things like finances or discussions on children, no children, how are you gonna raise the kids, all of
No.
that? Okay. All right.
No.
But you're trying to get them to think about those things and discuss
Yeah.
those things. Sure.
Yeah, and encourage that type of communication for sure.
Okay. All right. I got it. Now, do you work with only younger couples or do you work with couples of all ages, all faiths, all ethnicities? Or are there any people that you don't feel comfortable working with?
Sure. No, I work with all ages, all faiths, all genders, all it's certainly I have had such an amazingly diverse portfolio of clients. I will say that probably most of my clients are in their late 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
However, my work with older clients, it's just so meaningful to me because a
Mhm.
lot of wisdom comes with not only age, but often whenever it's a second marriage.
Mhm.
People are not getting married because they feel like they need to do that based on the timeline or they want to have children or whatever. Any additional societal pressures, they truly are just choosing a partner.
Right.
And so just the types of responses I get through my process with those clients is very, very different. But yeah, I've been able to hear so many amazing stories and therefore
Mhm.
write so many amazing stories thanks to this diverse portfolio.
Okay, well, that's cool. All right, so let's say I was planning a wedding for myself and I wanted to hire you as my wedding officiant. Please walk me through that process so that our audience can learn how that would flow.
Great.
I think that anyone who has ever planned a wedding or has researched it knows there's a lot to that. Please provide timelines if you can. Like, what would you say you're going to tell me to do a year ahead, 6 months ahead? Walk us through that process.
Sure. In terms of wedding officiating, I get hired at so many different times during the planning process, right?
Okay.
I would say couples usually hire me about 6 months out, but I certainly
Hmm.
have some that hire me a year and a half, some that hire me a week before. Because
Okay.
either something fell through the cracks or sometimes they just forget that it is something that they needed.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
but if it's on average like that 6-month mark, what we would do first is I just kick off the process with you and your partner. I send you guys a very intricate list of questions based on our initial conversation, getting to know each
Hmm.
other, so that I can curate those to your relationship and your story. I set a deadline for that. That usually is about 8 to 12 weeks before the wedding,
Hmm.
and that's only if the couple also agrees with that timeline, and the reason being, leading up to the wedding, there could be a million different things that you guys experience together. Maybe there's some planned travel, maybe there's been something where you really had to lean on your partner. I like to just get as much of those details as I can. Each partner fills out that questionnaire, and then I will meet with each partner individually to gain more insight. At this point, since I've been doing this for a while, I can tell if there is kind of like a little gem of information there that maybe you didn't expand upon. I would just meet with you and get you talking just
Hmm.
to see what else we can kind of like dig in there. And once I get all that additional information, then I start to weave everything together.
Hmm.
And I think that one of my favorite parts about that process is really recognizing how easily it could have not happened that you connected, right? Depending on how you and your partner met, like maybe you decided not to go to that college, or maybe you didn't take that job, or maybe whenever your friend invited you to go out one Friday night, you're just like, meh, I'm going to stay inside.
Yeah.
Or even if all those things happen and somebody approaches you, who knows if you're even in the right mindset to be accepting of that. There's so many different things that could have prevented people from connecting. I really love digging into that and then allowing the story to evolve from a place that is very inspiring.
Obviously, you charge for your services. So, do you have, for example, an a la carte menu, bundled packages, or do you have custom pricing? Can you talk about that?
Sure. So I do have pricing per package, depending on
Okay.
those packages. They're usually pretty standard, but it's all
Hmm.
depending on what the couple needs.
Yeah.
Um, for officiating, everything is based on the amount of writing involved. For like the full intricate process, which is what I was just describing,
Hmm.
that is most often what couples choose, and then it kind of, like, goes down from there. And in terms of honeymoon planning, I will bundle both of those together,
Okay.
as well as I do some day of wedding coordination, or it's or month of, actually, and I also will bundle that together.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, great. So do you also work with couples on a budget as well as people who have means for like that bespoke wedding experience.
Yes, in order for a couple to choose me, they have already decided to put a value on what I do.
Okay,
And what I love about that is that I'm not a luxury service. And also, if somebody has a huge, huge, huge budget, they still may or may not value what I do. I have
sure.
done weddings where I've done a ton of elopements where it's just me and the couple and not even a photographer. And they still will choose my largest package because they want that story. The story itself is a gift to them. So it really just it depends on if people are seeking that. And yeah, which again it makes it really enjoyable because I just have such a different range of people that I've worked with.
Okay. You and I both enjoy traveling very much, and we wanted to share that with others through our businesses. Let's focus now on the travel aspect of the wedding and the honeymoon,
Mhm.
obviously. How do you offer assistance to brides and couples in choosing wedding venues or destinations for their weddings, as well as honeymoon destinations? Do you ask them a bunch of questions ahead of time, give them a personality evaluation? How do you find out exactly what they like? Or are you just saying, I'm going to meet with them and then I'm going to make some recommendations for this? Because that's a pretty big recommendation for a momentous occasion. How would you make that recommendation for me if I was coming to you for, like, hey, where should I hold my wedding? Where should I go on my honeymoon? What would you do for me?
Sure. So I will say most often it's my involvement would be more towards the honeymoon.
Okay.
Usually like the destination wedding, like that the actual event is more kind of towards the wedding planning side.
Okay.
But what I will say in terms of planning honeymoons is that it is very risky in terms of it's basically you take a wedding planner's role where
Mm,
it's usually one day, maybe a day and a half.
okay.
And that person is there on site and they're certainly in charge of every single thing that can happen, will happen, and trying to keep on that schedule so that the desired, joy is experienced. From a honeymoon planner perspective, it is the same thing except it is a 2-week long process and I am not there. So I say that it's risky because I have to understand my clients so well. This is just a fact and we all do it. We all like to think that we are more adventurous than we actually are, and it's okay. But whenever it comes down to it, we are all human beings. We are all creatures of comfort, and the unknown is scary. So, meeting them in between to understand what is it that you actually will feel whenever you're in these destinations? What is that you want to experience? And who are you at your core as a human and as a traveler? And how do I match a destination and experience to that? I have to be so, so good at understanding and reading people, and also really, really good at understanding destinations, partnering with hotels, and having them understand that they are gonna be my boots on the ground whenever the couple is there. Really just leaving no stone unturned. I say it's risky, but I have such confidence and thankfully in the way that I've built this process and working with
Mhm.
people that I absolutely love just expanding people's understanding of thinking outside the norm. I think that whenever people choose to do like an all-inclusive resort, I 100% understand why that is appealing. But working with a planner allows you to have that, like, the ease of being decision free. However, you are not enclosed on one property, right? With
Mhm.
like 3 restaurants. And because I'm gonna do all that for you. I'm gonna have dinner reservations every night. I'm gonna have planned experiences that you're gonna do, and everything will be taken care of. So it's freedom, like that decision-free experience, but the entire world is open instead of just one property.
Okay. I got it.
That was a long-winded answer. I'm so sorry.
Well, no, that's absolutely what I wanted to hear. So, do you have favorite places around the world that you tend to recommend over and over for honeymoons? Or do you research different locales for different clients depending upon their personalities, their needs, their requests? You were laughing because you said people are not as adventuresome as they say. I'm a scuba diver. I jump out of planes. I have
Amazing.
bungee jumped in New Zealand and jumped off bridges. I do a lot of things,
Wow.
but then I also absolutely love comfort.
Right,
Very
right.
nice accommodations and things like that. If I came to you and I told you all of that, What would you say? Oh my goodness, I don't know if I've got any place like that. Or maybe you would. So, do you have those favorite places that you go to time and time again? Or do you kind of do that research? Tell us about that.
Sure. I'm constantly doing research. I can't say that I have favorite destinations because it
Hmm.
really, really depends on what the couple wants and what the client wants. I will say that I am a certified Italian honeymoon expert
Oh, yeah. Love
simply because that is
Italian weddings and honeymoons. Yeah.
yeah, that is usually where people wanna go. And I'm thankfully very well traveled in all of Italy. So, it makes planning in that way just a lot more enjoyable because I can say, like, "This is something that nobody knows about that you couldn't have found unless you accidentally got lost on a road trip." Spoken from true experience, of course.
Hmm.
So, that is definitely a destination that is a focal point, but even within that, having people understand how their budget will work, the Amalfi Coast in July is your budget is you maybe can afford 3 nights
And
in a
who wants to
hotel.
be there in July?
It's
Not me.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, helping them also understand within what they want, what is actually feasible, and then therefore what's gonna be enjoyable. So, beyond that, I definitely have been sending a lot of clients to, like, doing, like, a Bali and Japan
Hmm.
combination. That
Hmm.
has been really hot recently. And, in terms of like, I don't know, like beach-centric locations, beyond the Caribbean, like a St. Thomas or a St. Martin, honestly, Hawaii is a place that people are focusing on a lot more just because it combines such like this element of like of wildness, of luxury, absolutely stunning beaches, while still being able to kind of like engage with nature and with the terroir.
I've been to a lot of different countries and I have some gorgeous places. Of course, everywhere I go, I'm always like, oh, I could get married here or I have my honeymoon here. I wanted to recommend a few places for your thought as well as for our listeners. And then you can tell me what you think. For a wedding, obviously, Siena Cathedral, the Duomo di Siena in Siena,
Yeah.
Italy, which is, I think, one of the most beautiful cathedrals I've ever been in. And then for the reception and the lodging, the La Certosa di Maggiano in
Mhm.
Siena, which is, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a old abbey monastery that was turned into a hotel and a beautiful, beautiful restaurant. And it's like going into a fairy tale. It's just really, really neat.
So I've been to Siena, but I somehow I've missed that hotel, so I will put
Yeah,
that on my
it's
list.
outside of the city. It's not in
Okay.
Siena
Okay.
proper. The walls are like 12 feet thick. It's just
Wow.
insane. And they sat us for our dinner in this room, which was like this library, and it had this hidden panel in the wall where you use your own bathroom and everything. It was just the neatest
Wow.
place, just so cool. And the food was
So cool.
amazing and just really a wonderful experience. So, if anybody is looking for something that's completely out of the ordinary for a honeymoon or a reception, I think that's a just fabulous place. Then also Blenheim Palace, in England, in Oxfordshire, in the Cotswolds.
Mhm.
Just absolutely gorgeous for a wedding and a reception. You can't do your honeymoon there, but something that's really beautiful. And the Cotswolds are beautiful to visit and stay in. If you're one of those people who's a history buff like I am, you
Mhm.
probably enjoy that. And then Luttrell's Town Castle in Kellystown, Dublin, Ireland. That's absolutely gorgeous. For any of you who are fans of the Beckhams, that's where they got
Mm.
married. And then one of my absolute favorites is the Caesar Augustus Hotel and Resort in Anacapri, Italy. For those of you who have been to Capri, this is right up the mountain. Just go straight up. Don't stop in Capri. I don't like Capri, just the main port, but when you go up the mountain to Anacapri, that's where I think it gets so beautiful. And this hotel and resort, you could get married there, honeymoon there, stay there
Mhm.
for the rest of your life and never be
Sounds
sorry.
perfect.
Golly. Then Lizard Island Resort, which is off the coast of Queensland. You take a little puddle jumper plane over to the island, and it's a desert island in Australia off the
Mhm.
coast of Queensland. But that is a wonderful place. It's very, very private. Very few people are there. 3 Michelin key resort,
Ooh.
fabulous food, fabulous scuba diving right on the Great Barrier Reef for those of you who like to scuba dive, and gorgeous water, pool, spa, everything you could possibly want. So if you and your lover are interested in scuba diving and water sports and great cuisine, but you don't want to be around a bunch of people,
Mhm.
that's a really great place to go. Take my word for it. The Villa Cortina Palace in Sirmione, Italy. I don't know if you're a fan of Lake of Garda or not, but I love the Lake of Garda. I
Mhm.
also love the Borromean Islands. I'm not a huge fan of Lake Como because I think it's too many Americans there.
We're on the same page.
Loses yeah, loses its Italian flavor very quickly. That's a absolutely Sirmione is one of the beautiful lakeside towns on the Lake of Garda, and that's a absolutely gorgeous resort there. Bruges, Belgium is one of my favorite places in, the world, and what a fairy tale place that is. If you're a history lover, Bruges is just stunningly beautiful, and the Duke's Palace is a place I would recommend. Also, for a Virginia girl, the Inn at Little Washington is
Yeah,
one of my personal favorites. Beautiful for a wedding and a reception and a honeymoon because how can you
absolutely.
go wrong? Just absolutely fantastic experience. Unfortunately, this year they lost one of their Michelin stars. They're only a two-star Michelin resort this year, but hopefully they'll make that change and get their third star back. And then I'm put down, obviously, on my list, the Rovos safaris in Africa. I'm getting ready to do that this summer for the first time. But I'm just absolutely enchanted with the idea of taking a train through Africa and doing safari with someone that you love. And the trains are done in old English Victorian style, plush woodwork, plush velvets. You dress for dinner. Everything is just gorgeous. The library car, the smoking car, I just all of that. You
Mhm.
have no internet, you have no television.
Mhm.
You are there to relax and live in the past, so to speak. And you can travel a few different routes, but I'm doing the one that goes through South Africa,
Mhm.
Eswatini, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe. I think that would be a fabulous, fabulous honeymoon for somebody. So,
Yeah.
don't know what you think about any of those suggestions, but just
Yeah.
something I wanted to share.
Yeah, I mean, you gave a great list there, and I think that, it's really wonderful that whenever you travel thinking in that direction, being like, "You know what? It could be
Yeah,
really amazing to have a wedding that here." I'm always thinking
always.
about that, and I'm like, "Okay, this is where we would put the ceremony, this is where the aisle would be, and the
Yeah,
cocktail hour,
that's
everybody
right.
could just be around
Over
here."
here, and yeah,
Yeah,
here's
I
where the
love
band
it.
yeah.
2 venues, and, these are slightly I don't wanna say obscure, but
No, I love that.
really, really amazing venues that I worked at that were very, like, perfect for each of the couples. One was truly right in the El Yunque rainforest, or, like, right along the edge,
Yeah,
technically, in Puerto Rico, and the venue is called Hacienda Siesta Alegre, and it is just it is a mystical type of venue with multiple structures, most of them are open air, and it is just, like, truly transports you to another
wow.
world, just, like, with
Yeah,
the lush greenery, a lot of lizards,
uh-huh.
and, it was just, one of the most stunning properties I've ever worked at, and there's another one called this one is in Cartagena, Colombia, called I believe it's just called Casa 1537.
Mm,
This building was one of their president's home, built in 1537, and whenever the entire city burnt, that was the only structure that did not burn down. So over the years, it's been a lot of different things, and now they made it into a venue. The amount of, like, history in feeling in that space is really, really unbelievable. I love just, again, venues that feel like part of the story, and, it makes my job really exciting too because I like to refer to the setting so that guests understands where they are in this moment, you know? This is what you the walls that you are within. This is the feeling that we are here to celebrate. So yeah, I love thinking about stuff like that.
me too. It's so much fun. Well, thank you for
Mhm.
sharing those, and
Yeah.
I hope our listeners are taking notes, but I'm gonna put a lot of the references in the notes so they can pull those up. So I noticed on your website that you are hosting a wine tour in Spain. That doesn't have anything to do about weddings. Tell me, are you branching out into another area? Tell all, what's the tea?
Yes. I'm expanding in group travel and in doing so partnering with businesses that have connections to destinations, right?
Okay.
So I'm partnering with Barrel Thief Wine Shop in Richmond, Virginia,
Excellent.
and basically working with Booth, the owner, who designated a couple of wine regions in Spain that he really feels like, number one, people are very receptive to, and that the wines just are a little bit more interesting, have unique characteristics, etc., and certainly have a really nice cultural tie. The idea is basically to take his community that is based in Richmond, Virginia, and to expand that connection and that story abroad. We are going to be visiting 10 wineries. We're staying in 2 different luxury properties. One is going to be in La Rioja, and then the other is gonna be in San Sebastian, and I have so many amazing planned experiences for people just to really be engaged in the culture in addition to the wineries. We're doing, like, a chef-led market tour and cooking class, and we're
Oh,
doing a tapas or pinchos tour in San Sebastian, a lot of, like, walking city tours, etcetera, so it's gonna be a really fun journey.
it sounds that way. It sounds amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like, it's just nice because these people are able to experience this place. We're also gonna have some free time so that people are in a group trip, but also are able to discover a place the way that they normally would as well. So it's not gonna be like every minute of the day planned.
Mhm.
And I'm working with each traveler as well to build on those experiences. They get to also choose a few other things that they want to do as part of the programming. If you're really into hiking and mountain biking, or if you want to spend 4 to 5 hours at the spa, we have space for that in this experience, and it's included with the package. It's been really fun to partner with a business that says, okay, my community is really interested in these types of wines. Let's go there. Let's actually experience where they're made, how they're made, and even the why behind it, but by really engaging with the culture in that region. We do have 2 spots left on that trip, and if anyone is interested, I would love to chat with you about filling those seats.
Excellent. So, any of our listeners that might want to talk to Liz about that, you can obviously go to her website and learn more about the trip. And thank
Yeah.
you for talking about that. Now, are you going to offer these kinds of trips more frequently?
Yes. Yes, so I am in conversation with a couple of business owners up here, and I don't want to
Okay.
I'll hint at the destinations.
You can hint.
One is going to be in Sardinia, Italy,
Okay. Wonderful.
um, and the other is gonna be in Oaxaca, Mexico.
Okay. How fun. How
Yeah, so
cool.
it's been
Yeah.
really exciting to again, just, like, add to the story of these businesses who have a really, really great cultural connection and just kinda put some boots on the ground there, so
Very nice. Well, keep us posted on all of that. Are there any other areas about your services, your story, anything that's coming up that you want to cover before we get you to tell us about all of your different ways to contact you?
I think that we covered everything.
Okay.
This has been such an amazing,
Yeah.
conversation, so thank
So
you.
much fun. Well, as I said before we close, tell our listeners all the ways they can contact you, your website, your social media, everything they need to know about Have Lover Will Travel. So it's all yours.
Sure. So my website is www.haveloverwilltravel.com. My Instagram handle is at @haveloverwilltravel, all one word. Yeah, and you can send emails directly through my website. So, that should cover every way that you need to contact me. So,
Fantastic.
yeah.
And it's been a delight. I hope you're going to come back and visit with us again soon and tell us about the next wonderful thing that you're doing. Maybe you can come on and tell us how the Spain trip went, or you can come on and talk about your next trip when you're ready to launch. And so our listeners maybe can get on the in on that when you're ready to go. And so I just
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Shannon, thank you. This was just so lovely, and I'm
Boy,
very thankful that we've connected.
I am too, so much. Well, it's been such a delight, and I hope you've enjoyed this time with Liz Norment and learning about all the different things that she does and her amazing website and business, Have Lover Will Travel. So I just want to remind you that you can reach out and contact me anytime at Shannon at a ladywelltraveled.com. That's Shannon at a ladywelltraveled. That's traveled with two L's And please refer me to your friends and family. I'm on all your favorite streaming platforms, so I'd love to hear from you. And before I sign off, as always, I love to remind you that God created this big, beautiful world just for you. And all you need to do is get out there and see it. And so until we meet again, bye bye.